Hi students, and welcome to week 4 in your online general psychology course. This week we will continue on with our work in chapter 2, which is on psychology being a science and using the scientific method and looking at all the research methods and ethics and so forth. So last week you started that chapter and had a couple connect assignments that warmed you up to the idea of the intricacies of research. And this week you're going to hypothetically design your own research. Um, and you get to choose the research method and so forth. So I'll go over that in a little bit, but let's take a look at the module, excuse me. If you will be reminded that if you need to go back to the PowerPoint, that it will actually be in the week 3 module since we're in the same chapter. And this is the homework I'm talking about, and I'll cover that in just a little bit. And then your chapter 2 quiz for this week. So just these 2 assignments, and then next week we'll be moving on into chapter 3. So let me open this up here, and I will describe this assignment for you overall right now, but I want you to draw your attention to this link to a video where I also describe this assignment. So this one I'll keep a little bit brief, knowing that you have a full explanation of this assignment right here at the top when you click on the assignment. So this assignment will measure learning outcome number 1. So not only are you receiving a substantial grade for the course for this assignment, you are also being assessed on your learning outcome measurement number 1. So I'll be reporting both your grade as well as your completion of meeting that learning outcome. So with that being said, please don't look at this and think I'm asking you to write a paper or that it's an extremely long assignment. You're basically answering these 4 questions. I know that, many of you will be like, how long should it be? I'm not looking for length since this is your creativity and your critical thinking to think like a psychologist to design your own research design. The links are going to vary based upon what you come up with. So I'm more looking for a thorough answer to these 4 questions. The format doesn't matter. You can, write it out, question number 1, and have your response. You can do it in paragraph format. You can add bells and whistles, creating graphics and so forth if you choose to. Be as creative as you want. You certainly have that freedom, but don't be held up on what is the format or what is the link. This is really one of those brainstorming exercises where I'm looking at your thought pattern way more than I am technique. And you'll know on assignments when I say I'm looking for this APA format or I'm looking for this. This one happens to not be one of those. I want you to focus more on this. So the first thing before I go into these questions that I want you to know is that this is hypothetical. You're not actually doing the research. Okay, I'm going to say that again. You're not actually doing the research. You are creating your proposal, which is, that first step if you were to actually do research is to get it approved to be ran either through an institutional research board or an ethics board, depending upon the entity that you're doing the research for. So this is just, writing it out, completely hypothetical. It's a proposal. One more time, you're not actually doing this research. So the good news about that is that the sky's the limit. So usually in research, you have to worry about funding and time and are you going to be able to get to the number of participants and so forth? All of that is off the table for this assignment. So question number 1 is where you will identify the behavior that you want to research. So I've given you some ideas here to look at, but you can certainly use whatever it is that you've, scratched your head and thought, wonder why people do that? Why do people engage in that activity? So remember from this chapter, you learned that behavior is observable. So you want to make sure it's an observable habit. So anything is fair game. So just to identify the behavior. Number 2 is what is your hypothesis? So you learned last week about what hypotheses are, how they're formulated. So you'll take that behavior and then you will put it into a statement that is a hypothesis. And then you will choose your research design method. I've given you the major ones: naturalistic observation, case history, surveys, correlation, or experiment. Those are the ones we most typically see. But how are you going to test your hypothesis? So identify that research method. And then number 4, so these are really quick answers. You're really doing maybe one sentence here. Number 4 will be a little bit longer. And so I want you to think through this as like a recipe. If I were to say, make me some chicken and rice tonight, how would you do that step by step? What are the ingredients? How much of each ingredients do I need? How long am I going to cook it? That is the methods part, which is your number 4 here, of research design. So be as specific as you can. Do you have variables? What are those variables? How many participants will you have? Are there any demographic differences in your participant group that may affect your research? So something like age or ethnicity or biological sex, socioeconomic status, etc. Maybe or maybe not. It depends upon your design whether those factors need to be identified. And then anything else you can think of. And then what do you predict your research will yield as a result? Again, all hypothetical. You are just starting to think like a psychologist. Don't worry about it being perfect. You're learning, and I understand that. So I just want to see your brainstorming as far as what you can come up with, okay? So it's not a very long, research in terms of like, I've got to go to the library and find research. It's research in terms of applicability. How would you study a behavior? And so what you've learned in this chapter is how psychologists use research, and that's what I want you to apply here, is that thinking. Don't forget, there's a video here with examples and things that may help even further your understanding of this, okay? And please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to help you in any way possible. And have fun with it. Be creative. Remember, critical thinking, creativity, objectivity, all of those things are part of being a psychologist. And that's what I'm wanting to emphasize here. So this assignment, as well as your Chapter 2 quiz, and that's what you have due for this week. Have a great week, everybody.